Stunning. Alright, what we're doing today, guys, we're going to be changing out the water pump on the Lexus IS 250. Alright, guys. So what I noticed is I kept losing antifreeze, right? And the bottom of, well, I already took it out. The bottom of my cover, I guess the plastic skid plate at the bottom, the cover, it was staying wet, and I was getting like water and stuff coming out of here, and all my fan belt and stuff, as you can probably see in there a little bit. There's water on the fan, right? And that was dripping from the water pump back here. So what I just finally decided, guys, I need to change out this water pump. Now, after doing my research, I have discovered that it's going to be quite a challenge, and this will be my first time doing a water pump. So I'm not going to give you guys a tutorial on how to change it yourself. But I will, however, include a link to a video I watched of a mechanic, an actual mechanic that did the video, a tutorial on how to remove the water pump. And he's very detailed, and he can tell you everything you need to know in order to do it yourself. But I will give you a brief set of instructions on what you will have to do in order to get to the water pump, right? One of the things you're going to have to do, you're going to have to remove this intake cover here, which I believe is just held on by this one bolt, which is probably going to be like a 10 millimeter. You're going to have to take off of this reservoir here, and look like, sorry about that, guys, we got some noise from the nearby air base. Alright, we're going to have to take out this reservoir. Once you get this intake cover removed, and this is not going to be that hard. I believe it's held on by these little, yeah, you press that in and that comes out. Of course, you're going to take this off, and of course, guys, you're going to drain all your all your antifreeze out first. And if you want to know how to do that, I have a video in my I have a video on that. If you look through my videos, you can find that. But also, you're going to have to take out this right here. I think this is like the water pump regulator or whatever. This is where you would add the antifreeze. Then you have to disconnect these two hoses here. That connection. Of course, this main hose, this upper hose, and this lower hose here. And it's just held on by these hose clamps, right? And once you do that, you're gonna go down here and you're gonna have your control module right there. You're gonna have to take those out, and you just press those in and to take those out. It's like 3 of them, right? And once you take that out, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Then that's what you're gonna have to go down here to your pulleys. Remember, I put the serpentine belt on. I got a video on that. And you're gonna have to take these pulleys out. And these pulleys, I believe, either, just by looking at them, I believe they're maybe 13, 14 millimeter. And of course, you're gonna have to take off your serpentine belt, which comes off easily. And you got right there that main pulley right there. It has 4 bolts on it, and they're gonna look like 10 millimeters. But the 2 pulleys at the bottom, you're not gonna, the big one there and the other big one there, you're not gonna have to take those off. Just I believe this two right here to get to the water pump, which is directly behind here. And I believe it's going to be like between 12 and 16 bolts. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to leave a description how to do that. A link to the description on how to do that in this video. Stay tuned, guys. It's done. Alright guys, just some quick notes on taking this module out. All you got to do is these little tabs are going to be down like that when you first get to it, and you just push it that way to get it disconnected, right? But first, so you don't break them, I don't want you guys breaking and stuff, just like that. Like right here in the middle, you're going to press this in with your thumb and push it slide it all the way forward like that, and that disconnects that like that, right? And you just go down the bottom and push all of them forward. And pulls it out. That's gonna be tough because they've been in there for a while. So be very careful with it. Alright guys, I want to show you when the control module, well not the control module, but this module here that you're gonna take off here, you want to cover that up. Because like I said, when you disconnect your hoses, you don't want it to get wet. You don't want any of those electrical connections to get wet. And also you want to disconnect your negative battery posts so you don't short anything. As you can see here, this is the pulley that I took off. And if you look in there, guys, you can see here is one end of the water pump here, right? And it runs down here. Here's the other end of the water pump. And you see that big pulley right there? That's in the way. So that's what I got to get out next, right? So it has these 4, I believe those 10mm bolts. Take them out and you have access to the water pump. And also I have to take this pulley out too, because as you can see, that is the water pump there. So this needs to come out, and this is a 14mm. So, and I still have yet to take this out, but I'm debating on whether it is necessary to take that out, guys. But I'm going to keep on going here, and I will let you know what I decided to do. Stay tuned. Alright guys, I want to talk about when you take these parts out, I want to talk about marking them, right? These are the 2 pulleys that I took out, pulley wheels. And you want to make sure you differentiate the difference between the 2 by showing one is a bottom and one is a top. So when you put them back on there, you don't put them back in the wrong order. And you might think they're both the same wheel, but they're really not the same wheel, right? They look similar, but they're not. See, the inside of that is different. Inside of that is different. Now the width or the diameter might be the same, but as you can see, they are very different. So they're gonna fit different. And just to be on the safe side, you put them back you mark them so when you put them back, they can go back in the same order. Alright. And also on the module, I marked my connectors. Like for instance, this connector here has a 1 on it. This connector here has a 2 on it. So when I connect them back inside the module, I will know the order that they were in. As you see there, there's a 4 on there. That lets me know that the 4th connection down here goes back into that port. And I just left that connected, so it's just hanging from here. So when I disconnect these hoses, that if in case I got an antifreeze left, that it wouldn't, you know, if in case it spilled, it wouldn't short anything out. But as you can see, guys, I have full access. Well, right now I'm in the process of taking out this last big wheel here. And what I want to show you guys with this wheel here, it takes 12mm bolts. And as you can, I want to show you something. If you pay attention here, this wheel spins freely. So when you're trying to take it off with your ratchet, obviously it's not going to go because there's nothing stopping it. So what you got to do is you got to have you a wrench, 12mm wrench. You put it on one bolt. Then you take your other 12mm socket with your ratchet and you put it on the other end, and you're gonna twist it in different directions to get the bolts to come off. One hand on one, the other hand on the other one, and you turn them opposite directions for each bolt and it will come off. And this one is already loosened. Alright guys, stay tuned. Alright, we got this wheel out here, the flywheel out, and that's what we got. We got full access to the water pump. And again, I haven't taken this out yet, which I'm not sure if I'm going to. But as you can see, these are the bolts that you need right here. Bolts here on the edges, right here. Here is water pump, the new one, and these are the bolts where they go at right here. And if you pay attention here at the bolts, some of them, as you can tell, are going to be long and short, right? And they look like they could be different sizes, but I'm assuming that they are 10mm. So I'm going to use a 10mm and see, and they are indeed 10mm. Yep, see the one, wait a minute, see the one at the bottom there? That's not a 10mm. That's probably going to be a 12. Take this off here and see if it fits. And it is indeed a 12. The ones at the bottom are 12s. So that's why I was talking about marking these guys. Make sure you mark the bolts and where they are, so when you put them back in, that they go straight back in, because this water pump is going to need to be sealed flush against the back of where the back side need to be flush against the engine, right? And it needs to be sealed tight so it doesn't leak. So you want to go through all this trouble to put it in there, and it's leaking again, and it's not sealed properly. So make sure you mark your bolts at where they were, right? Again, the ones at the bottom are 12 and they look bigger. The ones at the top are going to be 10. And that's all the way around, right? Matter of fact, the funny thing is here, the ones on the top are 12. so it's going to be different all the way around. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark them, so when I take it out and put it back in, it's going to be the same. Alright. Another thing to note is this is the outside of the water pump. Notice it's like a flower shape, and the one that is in there is just a regular circle wheel. Look at the nose of it. I don't think that's going to be much of a difference, but we will see. It's time to stay tuned. Alright guys, so it does seem that I will have to take this off, right? Because this part right here goes in this slot right here, and this bottom part right here is right there where I have the end of the marker at. So it's going to sit down in there. It's going to sit down in there. If I can get it down in here to show you guys. I can't get it down in there. But anyway, I guess you're going to use your imagination. But that has to come out. Also guys, remember I was telling you about the size of the bolts. Best thing you can do here, as you see, I've already taken this bolt out here, right? Just put your new gas water pump here, and as you take one bolt out each, just take your bolt and sit it in that slot, right? Again, if I put this up against here, I don't know if you can see down in there, but that's where that would be. And as I go to this next bolt, I will take that bolt out and I will sit it in that slot. And as I go to this bolt, I will put that bolt there, and so on and so forth all the way around. Because again, these are two different sides. There's a 10 millimeter and 12 millimeter. That way I don't have to worry about mixing up any bolts or putting bolts in the wrong slots. And also guys, those bolts that I took out of the pulley wheel, I just set them back down in here. Those bolts came out of this wheel right here, and I just went ahead and slid them in the slot, so I don't have to mix all these different size bolts again. And as you can see, where I took the module off, I put that nut back on there, and that protector covered sleeve or whatever right back there. So when I go out, that's why I don't have to look for it, and I don't have a mess of bolts and trying to decide which is which. Right guys, on all of these points right here, I put everything back. Even with the pulley wheels, I put the bolt back in its slot, so I know, like, if I don't get everything done today, if I come back tomorrow, I don't have to guess what I took what from where, because I know it's directly back where I had it. And again, I have to take this out, because this hole right here is going to fit directly inside of this slot. And to take this out, it looks like there's going to be a 10 millimeter there. I don't know what that is. That looks like it might be same thing, a 10 millimeter. Let me see if it's a 10. Yep, it's a 10. So I got to take that out, that bolt out there. I got to come down here. I got to take that bolt out there and that bolt there. Alright, so good thing I do have my flexible wrench right here to get in there and take that out. So I do have to take this off right here. Got my vice grips. I'm just going to take this here, press that in to take these hoses off here. press down on that, clamp that together, and use this pry tool to pry them out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've already taken this upper hose off here. Right. Alright guys, stay tuned. Alright guys, I got it out, and as I was saying, when this thing was in here, it was down in here like this right here, right? As you can see where the hose connects, and those two hoses connect there, and this bottom piece connects right there. Now just for note, if you look right there where my finger's pointed, that's an O-ring. There are your rings right there that comes with the kit. There's the small one, and the small one, other small one is right here. So that's going to be on there like that, connected to those two hoses. You're gonna make sure you take this ring off, take that ring out of there. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and pop this off. Take that one out. We're gonna come inside here. See if I got my camera focused. And we're going to pop. We're gonna try and pop it out of there. Alright. Looks like it wants to be difficult. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, it's gonna be different. Anyway, I'm gonna pop it out later. But you're gonna pop that out and you're gonna replace it with those two rings there. And guys, what I wanted you guys to notice was this particular part right here. Right, that screw that's sticking out is attached to, it's the same thing as here. It comes with the gasket. So when I take that gasket out, that whole thing comes off. But when you're taking this part out, it's going to be hard to get in there because of the way that it seats. But it's a 10 millimeter. And also right here, this is going to be very difficult too, because when it's on here, it's one of the last things you got to get to, and you got to stick your hand in here to get to it. But it uses a 10 millimeter, and so the way that it's seated down in there, I can't simulate it, but it's hard to get to it. But you're going to take your hand and come over here, and you're going to have to use a wrench. You're going to have to use a wrench because you're not going to be able to use a ratchet to get in there because there's not enough room. But that's the last bolt that you're going to take off on there. And then of course that second one there that I pointed to with the screw on the end up. So you're going to do the other two there and there first, and these two are going to be last. And of course, once you get your hoses disconnected, you're going to pull this out. And you're going to have to wiggle it out of there. And remember guys, I told you about these bolts, right? As you take one bolt out, you put it back into the new water pump. So that's because the sizes are different. If you look at the bolts, look at there. See how you got two long ones, three short ones, and two long ones. Well, three long ones there. And you don't want to mix that order up, right? And you just simply set it back down there. So when I come back down here, I'm gonna go to my next bolt here, and then that next bolt here is gonna be right there. Wait a minute. It's gonna be north. Let me see. Might have that mixed up. That is the old water pump. So I gotta finish taking the bolts out. So that bolt right there is next to this bolt here, which is this bolt here. So I'm gonna take that bolt out. I'm gonna take this bolt out here and stick it in there. Then I'm gonna go down here, take this next bolt out, it's across from there, and I'm gonna put it back in there, so on and so forth. And that will be it. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so here we have the water pump completely out. Alright, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to take out this gasket. Here's the gasket, which I don't see anything wrong with the gasket, but just for record, just note how it seats. See how it pushes inward, and that one is the obviously the inner. So when you put it back in, make sure that slope is going inward. That's how it came out of there. And I don't see any glue or anything on there, any like gasket sealing or anything, so I'm assuming that it doesn't take any sealant, right? So here's the new one. I'm going to just put down in there and seat it the same way. And here is the new gasket. I meant the water pump. And it should seat right down in there. Right? And if you guys see how when I took the gasket off, everything got wet. That's why you want to have that bag there over your module so it doesn't get wet and sort anything out and cost you more money. And again, I got that rubber seal on there, and on the new one I put the rubber seal on there, and I'm going to put some oil behind that to make sure it sticks so it seats in there perfectly. Alright guys, that's it. Disconnected. And once I'm gonna do another video on how to reinstall it, but it's basically just a march order or a reverse order, guys. Okay, you're gonna put your gasket in there, you're gonna put the water pump in there, you're gonna tighten everything down, and you're not gonna over tighten it. I don't know about the torque specs, but when I was taking it out there, it didn't take a lot of force to unscrew them, and I don't think you want to tighten them in there too tight, because you might strip the threads inside there, and that's the last thing you want, because that's connected to your engine. You don't want to have to get a whole new engine. But since I'm done, I'm going to clean all that out and check my hoses and see how everything is, and then I'm going to refill it with antifreeze and run it and let you guys know how that went. So that is the removal of the water pump for the Lexus IS 250. Stunner.